Well, we had a very robust meeting, and as you saw at the beginning, all the stakeholders were present. The content providers, represented by the leadership of the broadcasting organizations of Nigeria, BORN, we had the two signal distributors, we had the set-top box manufacturers, we had the middleware providers, we had the call center people, and of course the leadership of the National Broadcasting Commission, as well as DigiTeam. We looked at all the components of the digital switchover process. The most central issue that we were discussing today was the fact that the DigiTeam, their engineering services, have concluded the technical surveillance of the signal in the Abuja area. What does that mean? They were looking at the areas where we had difficulties of frequency coverage, and that will assist the signal distributors to plan areas where we're going to put gap fillers. Because one of the things that we also looked at was the possibility of switching off analog in some of the locations. So we're zeroing in on Abuja. So that report is ready, and that committee will look at the report next week, Tuesday. And when they finish that, the signal distributor involved in Abuja, the National Broadcasting Commission, as well as DigiTeam will then meet. We'll look at how many areas are we going to put the gap fillers to be able to cover the entire location, the federal capital, because that will be then the opportunity for us to switch off analog broadcasting in Abuja and have only digital broadcasting. When we finish that report, that process in Abuja will then move to Jos, the first two areas where we did the switchover in Nigeria. So those are going to be the two places we're going to do analog switch off. So by the end of next week, hopefully, we'll be able to announce to Nigerians when exactly we will do analog switch off in the Abuja Federal Territory.
Well, what is the process so far? Is there any form of things that will make Nigeria to be promptly aware to say, okay, yes, we are ready for the switch off by so time, by so day? Is it so soon that will come up?
Well, as I told you, we're going to meet next week. That's the signal distributor in Abuja, Pinnacle Communications, DigiTeam Nigeria, as well as the National Broadcasting Commission. When that is done, there's a task force that will then decide, okay, we're going to take this particular date to be able to do the switch off. But we have to do a lot of publicity for people in the Federal Capital Territory, because at the same time as we're doing that publicity, we also have to know the locations where the gap fillers, that is repeater transmitters or booster transmitters, where they'll be located in the Federal Capital Territory. And in the long run, the other choice we're going to have to make is also now decide when we're going to do, and we're going to roll out the national plan for the eventual rollout around Nigeria. One of the most interesting things, because you mentioned the issues of the issue around the fact that this was the first meeting since the Federal Executive Council was constituted yesterday. The Minister of Information is back in place. The Minister of Finance is back in place. These two people were very critical to the process before the end of the last administration. So the beauty of it is that we're not going to be having ministers who are going to be explaining the process to. They are already part of this process. So it will help us to accelerate the process of the release of funds by government, and for us then to eventually tell Nigerians how fast we are going to move with the digital switchover.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you indeed.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.